Okay, so uh, are you ready to dive in? Today we're looking at something a little different. It all started with this list, the top 10 names of female animals from the Top Ken's website.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever really thought about why we have special names just for the females. You know what I mean? Not just female dog, but something else.
It really is interesting when you stop and think about it. It's not just about the words themselves either. It kind of tells us about biology, culture, even how humans see the rest of the animal world.
So this list, it starts with some really familiar ones. You've got your lioness, your tigress, uh, a mare. But are these really names? Or are they more like descriptions? What do you think?
That's a good question because scientists, they have their whole system, right? Binomial nomenclature, the genus and species thing, very specific. But in normal life, we use common names, and those, well, they come from all sorts of places in our history and cultures.
Speaking of culture, I see the list calls a female cat a queen, which, I mean, seems pretty fitting, but it also makes me wonder, do those names, do they kind of reflect what we think about these animals? Like almost making some stereotypes stronger?
Oh, definitely. Queen makes you think of being in charge, being at the top, which might be true for how some animals live together, but not all of them. It just shows how the words we use can change how we understand nature.
And then you've got some of these names that are just fun, like a female goat is a nanny. So cute. But then there's worker for a female ant, which is like oddly official. Shouldn't they have a union or something?
It really shows how we think about these things, doesn't it? Putting our own human spin on it.
Okay, here's one that I am totally lost on.
Mm.
The list just says Jill. No animal, just Jill. Is this some kind of zoologist joke that we're not in on?
Now, that is a mystery. Maybe it's a chance for you to do some digging, see if you can find any maybe regional names or some not so well known ones for female animals. You never know. You might find something really cool.
Challenge accepted. Okay, let's move on to some names that have a little more to them. Vixen for a female fox. That one always feels loaded. What's the story there?
Oh, vixen has a long history. It comes from Middle English, and it's definitely picked up some extra meanings over time. Cunning, tricky, even kind of dangerously attractive. Do you think words like vixen contribute to those bad stereotypes about female animals?
Yeah. It's like we're putting human ideas and biases onto these animals, using words to make them seem a certain way.
Exactly. Which that brings us to another interesting one. So, for a female pig, sounds very practical, almost, I don't know, clinical compared to some of the other names. What are your thoughts on that one?
It makes me think about how we domesticated
Yeah.
animals and how the names we give them change depending on how they fit into our lives. So it's all about the pig's job in farming, giving us food.
You got it. It's not so much about the animal's personality, it's more about what's its use to us.
Wow, this list. We started with just names, and look where we ended up. Language, science, how we see the world, maybe even a little feminism in there.
And the thing that really gets me is this whole list, it's made by humans. What names do animals have for each other, using their own ways of communicating, makes you realize there's this whole world of animal experience out there beyond what we humans can even label and categorize.
That is mind-blowing. So to all you listeners out there, the next time you see an animal, just take a second. Think about its name. What ideas or stories are wrapped up in that one word? It might make you a little more curious about animals and how we fit in with them.